Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And like many days, we have some very interesting things to cover. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is very excited about Bitcoin, specifically right now. I've also myself shared an interesting piece over on Twitter about a couple days ago that explained why most likely from January on forward, to be specific, January 1st on forward, things were going to be a lot more bullish, a lot more exciting. And as of this point, the data actually does support that as well, looking at the liquidations for today. Of course, on the opposite side, there's a very big inflation discussion going on right now. Economist Peter Schiff predicts inflation is about to get much worse, and the US dollar is facing one of its worst years ever. While on the opposite side, we have exchanges, still continue on adopting, expanding, and generally speaking, the crypto space just keeps, growing and growing and growing, even though the price is kind of interestingly volatile. Fun fact, the last couple of weeks have been extremely non-volatile for crypto, but all of that is about to change. Well, let's take a look at Robert Kiyosaki. Although the start of 2023 failed to bring change in the Bitcoin price pattern amid bearish environment, Robert Kiyosaki is bullish about Bitcoin. And I'd like to digress and say that today has been a pretty interesting day, as it's one of the first days in a while that we've seen a plus 1% day. So a day where we increase with more than 1%. A couple of coins like Solana are doing extremely well, and over the last 24 hours, Lido, Solana, and OKX's coin are doing extremely well with double-digit gains. On the opposite side, there's not really many cryptos that have been doing bad. If we check the rankings here, even some of the bad performers are plus or just very, very slight minus. Nothing really too much going on. And the same thing goes for on the hourly. The worst is OKB, which over on the daily is still up a lot. And that's kind of the trend right now, which is just generally positive today. Now, my own idea as to why cryptos are on the up right now is because, and I think a lot of you guys will agree, at the end of the year, a lot of people are selling their tokens for their tax purposes. But from January 1st on forward, they don't really have that pressure, and the pressure will only start to come back in the moment that they actually have to pay their tax. Very often at the end of the year, they start to sell to get their profits and losses in balance and their capital gains in balance and whatnot, but then the actual bill comes a little bit later. But that we're going to see in a couple of months. Right now, again, I think that's why crypto prices can go back up a little bit again after being so stable for the end of the year. Robert Kiyosaki himself is bullish about Bitcoin prospects due to regulatory advantage it could attain. It remains to be seen how soon from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission will bring in such a move, and again, I should quickly state here that I know a lot about crypto regulation. I follow this every single day, and I am not the person to state that the regulations are looking that positive for Bitcoin. All we know is that the BIS and a lot of other major institutions in the U.S. are indeed looking into regulating crypto more properly, and it does look as if, if they have to put rules into it, as long as it's not the SEC who's doing it, that at least Bitcoin is quote-unquote safe. And that's the sort of conclusion is going to be drawn rather quickly, which in turn would be pretty bullish. Robert Kiyosaki himself likes to state that most likely a lot of altcoins are going to be doomed, whereas Bitcoin is going to be fine. And he basically thinks that a lot of these altcoins will come under the SEC's purview, whereas the CFTC will look after Bitcoin in the commodities category. Quote, I am very excited about Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is classified as a commodity, much like gold, silver, and oil. Most crypto tokens are classified as a security, and the SEC regulations will crush most of them. I am buying more Bitcoin. So again, I can't state that I agree, but it's interesting to see his opinion. Let me know down below, do you think altcoins will be crushed? I can believe it. I think altcoins will be way more profitable, but hey, let me know. Then, a very interesting Bitcoin bear, Peter Schiff. He predicts inflation is about to get much worse. And honestly, I think this is also pretty bullish for cryptos. US dollar is facing one of its worst years ever. He expects the inflation probably get way worse, and he says the US dollar index may have had a strong year, but it ended the year on a 6-month low, down 10% from its November high. He began to elaborate by saying, this weakness will likely continue throughout 2023. With the dollar having one of its worst years ever, if I'm right, the inflation problem is about to get much worse. He's also in a little bit of a battle with Wharton University finance professor Jeremy Siegel, who shared his economic view on CNBC last week by stating, Jeremy Siegel is wrong. Siegel thinks falling real estate prices means the inflation threat is over. That's falling asset prices. Consumer prices will keep rising, including those associated with home ownership like rent, mortgages, rates, insurance, taxes, utilities, and maintenance, Schiff argued. Regarding the stock market, he said, the worst performing sectors of the stock market in 2022 will likely repeat as the worst performing sectors in 2023. And things like Tesla, Snapchat, Facebook, they were all doing extremely bad. And as I've read from him, he expects those things or that theme to continue as well. Schiff has repeatedly warned about the US economy and the dollar crashing. And so from that perspective, I'm always taking him with a grain of salt. As I've stated in my previous video, it can very often be very profitable to be a contrarian. So by stating things are going to crash, if you state that every single year for 20 years, you'll be wrong, let's say 17 out of those 20 years, and nobody will bat an eye. But the times you're right, which is 3 out of 20, people will praise you as you can state, see, I knew it all along. And even though at the end of the day, anybody who followed you would have most likely lost money, for your reputation, that could be a really good thing. Now, Peter Schiff in October cautioned about the rising national debt that the US cannot repay, which indeed is a very interesting piece. And he said, we're going to default, he warned. We have much more debt right now than we had in 2008. So this is going to be a much bigger crisis when the defaults start. The economist also predicted that the Federal Reserve's recent actions could lead to market crashes, a massive financial crisis, and a severe recession. Now, to further state a claim that I made earlier in the video, which is that tax season was the end of the year and right now we have a fresh new start, we can actually see it in the liquidations of today, which are not too severe, I'm going to state. I did expect a little bit more of a push towards the upside, but what becomes quite evident is that out of the entire last month or so, there's only been a couple of days really where this many shorts got liquidated. And it's actually quite evident that out of a lot of these days, well, a lot of longs were liquidated as well, where just trading volume was a lot higher. But here we can see indeed that on January 2nd, all of a sudden, a lot of negativity has been wiped out of the space again. And it is very nice to see it being close to my expectation and prediction. Now again, guys, if you're looking for any platform to trade on, you can always check my description down below, because that'll always have some sort of links to, for example, here BitGet, or for example, here Bybit, where you can get up to thousands of dollars worth of free bonuses that you can use to trade with. I believe Bybit right now has over $30,000 worth of bonuses, which is the highest ever, and also 0% spot fees. And BitGet has, I believe, $8,000 worth of bonuses and also 0% spot fees, so just go ahead and check it out. If you want, there's also a link to a VPN down below or a hardware wallet, just check it out. And then, like I said, in regards to expansion and Binance, to be a little bit more specific, they apparently will want to re-enter Korea, which, if you guys don't know, is a very major cryptocurrency country. The trading on there is just absolutely massive, but it was also the head starter for a lot of controversy a couple years ago with the whole South Korean premiums. That's because over in South Korea, you need a specific ID to trade. You need to just put your little number of your I guess your number of your passport or your Korean ID, just your person number, whatever. In America, I think it'd be like your social security number. Put it onto the website to be able to trade so the people could track you basically. So they weren't really allowed to purchase or transact crypto outside of Korean exchanges in Korea. But still, because there was such a demand, the price basically went up higher than on a lot of other places because not that many people were able to trade on places outside of those exchanges. You understand? The Bitcoin price of Korean won was just significantly higher. Now, apparently, I think for that reason as well, and because just volumes are absolutely wild over there, Binance plans to enter the Korean market by acquiring one of the largest local crypto exchanges. I don't really want to dive too deep in exactly what they're buying because, well, it's not going to matter too much. It's just the fact they're expanding over in that area, and that leads me to believe one very important thing. From the, wait, that might have been very annoying if you've been watching that. From the very ground up and forward, the expansion is still happening. What they're telling you very often is, oh, wow, no, crypto is dead. It's going to die out. Oh, you can see prices are going down. Things are getting scary. But really, from a base level, the expansion is still happening. And all that's left is for you to realize that and just join with it and just keep on buying. It's my opinion. I personally think if you just keep on buying throughout this recession, basically, you'll be extremely happy you did in a couple years from now. If I just really could tell myself, my 10-year ago self, one thing, it's go heavier on crypto, right? And so you don't want to be that guy in 10 years who really thought, oh, if only I went heavier on crypto 10 years ago. So the best major tip I can give to anybody is, in this case here, I personally think it's better to overexpose myself than have regrets that I didn't buy more later on. Because the probability of all this stuff succeeding is pretty severely high. It's just really, really high, I think. There have been multiple bear markets, you guys all know it. And right now with the looming US doom, it could be a little bit negative for crypto at the start, but realistically, crypto was made for literally scenarios like this. Bitcoin was literally made from the financial crisis, right? That's the entire idea behind it. So if indeed, like Peter Schiff says, things are going to get even far more worse, that's only a bullish factor if you were to ask me. And so I'd have to join Robert Kiyosaki in saying, yes, I'm very excited about Bitcoin, But I personally would like to also state that I'm pretty excited about altcoins as well, because the probability of those succeeding, in my opinion, is equally as high, if not higher, as there are way many more. There are over 22,000 different cryptocurrencies. What is the probability of one of these cryptocurrencies eventually partnering up with Apple? That is ridiculously high. And the same thing goes for one of these cryptos eventually partnering up with Hilton for a new loyalty program. In the same sense that Polygon has partnered up with Starbucks, or in the same sense as VeChain has partnered up with Walmart in China, these major partnerships will happen, and it'll most likely not be only for Bitcoin, but for a lot of altcoins, specifically for the platformers or payment tokens. And so I'm buying those like crazy as well. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button. Let me know down below if you're bullish or bearish on 2023 for cryptocurrencies. And I'll see you guys later in another crypto video.